In India, there is a gathering so massive it can be seen from space, a tidal wave of humanity spilling across the riverbanks, a convergence of souls numbering in the tens of millions. This is the Kumbh Mela, the world's largest religious festival, a spiritual extravaganza that takes place once every 12 years across 4 ancient sites steeped in legend and lore. Pilgrims journey for days, even weeks, to reach these sacred riverbanks, chanting, singing, and bathing in the holy waters to wash away lifetimes of sin. It's a kaleidoscope of devotion, a symphony of faith. But within this whirlwind of fervor and ritual, one group of ascetics mystifies and mesmerizes both the devout and the curious from around the globe. Clad in nothing but ash, their matted hair flowing like unruly rivers, they are both a living paradox and a tangible connection to India's ancient spiritual roots. They are the Naga Sadhus, India's naked monks. Who are these enigmatic figures? Where do they come from? And what drives them to renounce everything most of us hold dear, clothes, possessions, and even traditional notions of identity? To understand the Naga Sadhus, you must first dive deep into India's spiritual ancestry. The word sadhu refers to a holy man or ascetic, someone who has renounced worldly pleasures in the pursuit of moksha, liberation from the cycle of birth, death, and rebirth. The Naga Sadhus, however, represent the extreme edge of this path. Naga means naked, signifying their absolute detachment from material life. They are the chosen warriors of spirituality, belonging to akaras, monastic orders with historical ties to ancient Hindu traditions. But the Naga Sadhus are not ordinary monks. Their nakedness is not just a rejection of society's norms. It's a statement of fearlessness, of their willingness to transcend the ego and move toward the divine. Their bodies, smeared with sacred ash, symbolically represent Shiva, the god of destruction and transformation. Indeed, they are often described as Shiva incarnate, wild, intense, untamed, and deeply spiritual. Becoming a Naga Sadhu is not for the faint of heart. The initiation process is grueling, an almost mythical journey of discipline and sacrifice. Prospective initiates, often young men seeking liberation, must leave their families forever. During initiation, they undergo ritual renunciation of their worldly ties in a symbolic death ceremony. They are given a new identity, a second birth into the spiritual world. But the most dramatic moment comes when they remove their clothes for the last time, standing naked before their spiritual mentors and the divine. From that point onward, they are no longer bound by societal conventions. They belong entirely to their akara, their community of holy warriors. They meditate, they practice austerities, and they sharpen their focus on attaining oneness with the universe. For much of their lives, the Naga Sadhus live in seclusion, hidden in Himalayan caves, remote forests, or quiet ashrams far from the noise of the world. But during the Kumbh Mela, they emerge, becoming the festival's most iconic figures. Their arrival is unforgettable. There are processions, drum beats announcing their presence, conch shells blowing to mark their stride. Naked and smeared in ash, wielding tridents, and sometimes even swords, they ride horses or elephants to the riverbanks as if part of an ancient war band preparing for battle. This entrance, called the Shahi Snan or Royal Bath, is the spiritual climax of the Kumbh Mela. As onlookers gasp in awe and pilgrims bow their heads in reverence, the Naga Sadhus lead the charge into the holy waters, their chants echoing across the riverbanks. In this moment, they are not merely ascetics. They are conduits of divine energy, amplifying the spiritual vibrations of the entire event. Despite their fierce appearance, the lives of the Naga Sadhus are deeply disciplined, bound by the rules of their akara. Their days consist of meditation, yoga, study of sacred texts, and various forms of devotion. Many follow extreme practices to test the limits of their physical and mental endurance, standing for hours on one leg, holding their arms in the air for years, or fasting for prolonged periods. These acts, known as tapasya, are believed to generate spiritual power and bring them closer to God. And yet, there's another side to the Naga Sadhus that isn't immediately visible behind their intense exterior. They have a wisdom that comes from living at the edge of existence. Spend time with them, and you'll witness a profound kindness, a humor that disarms, and an openness to anyone seeking answers to life's deeper questions. Though they've renounced material possessions, they embody a wealth of spiritual knowledge, that they are willing to share with those who approach them with sincerity. But the Naga Sadhus are not without controversy. In today's era, their dramatic rituals and nude appearances sometimes overshadow the subtleties of their spiritual journey. Cameras flash as curious visitors treat them as subjects of fascination rather than figures of reverence. Questions surface about the relevance of such extreme asceticism in a rapidly modernizing world. In the midst of these challenges, the Naga Sadhus persist, unmoved by society's changing tides. For them, the pursuit of the eternal transcends the fleeting concerns of the temporal. At sunset during the Kumbh Mela, as the crowds begin to thin and the river's surface glistens like molten gold, you might catch sight of a Naga Sadhu sitting cross-legged by the water. His eyes are closed in meditation, his body motionless, save for the faint rise and fall of his breath. It's a timeless scene, one that feels as if it belongs not to this world, but to a realm of myth and legend. And that, perhaps, is the greatest secret of the Naga Sadhus. In their raw nakedness, they strip away not just clothes, but the illusions of life, the masks we wear, the fears we harbor, and the desires that bind us. For a moment, they remind us of an essential truth, that beyond the chaos of the world lies a stillness, a clarity, a divine connection waiting to be found. The Naga Sadhus are more than the sum of their rituals and austerities. They are living symbols of the eternal quest for liberation, bound neither by time nor convention. As the rivers flow and the crowds disperse, their mystery lingers, whispering to us across the ages. Perhaps that is their greatest teaching, to look beyond the surface, to seek the infinite, and to embrace the sacred in the simplest, most profound of ways.